Hello, Arlene. Hello.
Hi, I'm so happy to see you.
Hello, we're happy to see you too. This is Victor. He actually hosts our Fist City screenings. So he was here hosting with me tonight. He didn't get a chance to meet you earlier. How did Brooklyn go? How did your Q&A go?
Oh, I'm delighted. I'm thrilled. Really, it went well. They enjoyed the movie. Lots of laughter. Lots of yeah. It was great.
That's great. Well, we had the same here, and we do want to thank you for joining us. I know it's late where you are over in New York, so we do thank you so much for this.
My pleasure.
We'll try to ask you some questions to make it being up worth your while. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, so I want to ask a few questions just about, the history of your Malibu Bay films. I mean, I think in the last, 10 years or so, people have become a little more open about the films of the 80s and the 90s that weren't the big multiplex blockbusters like the Cannon films and such. But a lot of people don't know, you've done, you and Andy did 12 of these films in your collection. Can you kind of tell us a little bit of how you guys got into producing these movies?
Well, this was Andy's idea to feature the, beautiful women, beautiful men, beautiful explosions. But particularly, I don't know if you know about his history as a multi-Emmy Award-winning director for ABC Sports. And he was the first person to take the camera off the field because his background actually was journalism. And so he wanted to tell the whole story. And when he took the camera off the field, he went right for the beautiful women. So he did feature the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders and women in the audience. The honey shot. He was famous for the honey shot. So he wanted to do these movies. He made a deal with Lorimar for 2 films, and they became successful in a very kind of modest way. Because when they first Showtime and HBO, when they first started showing the films, they kind of threw them on in the middle of the night, and then a year later they were competing with each other at prime time in this, between Showtime and HBO. So then he made another deal with it was Sony at the time for 5 more films. So that's the story.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us here in the audience got a lot of longtime fans here, first saw these on HBO and Cinemax back in the day. Can you tell us a little bit about your involvement in these films as a producer?
Mm-hmm. Well, I had been producing on television. And Andy made this deal, the first deal with Lorimar to do a film, and he had been casting and crewing and getting ready to start. He had some pre-sales, some foreign sales, licensing, and we were self-financing. We were borrowing money from the bank, and the bank said that they needed collateral. And the only collateral that he had was our house. So I said, if you're going to put our house up as collateral, I'll be writing the checks. So that was the beginning of our professional relationship.
So let me ask you a few questions about this movie before the one we just saw tonight, Hard Ticket to Hawaii, which everyone here loved, was laughing along, had a great time with.
Woo! Yeah!
So where does this movie come into the canon of the films that you guys did? Is it the second or the third film, or?
Well, Malibu Express was the first film that Andy did. I did not produce that. That he had a relationship with Playboy Productions, and then he got the film back, and then he started to do Hard Ticket to Hawaii, and that's when we got into the financial issues, and I joined him.
So one of the things I think everybody here saw that making this movie, it seems like the actors are having a great time in Jeeps. The hover bike thing that was going on, paraglider bike. It looks like this movie was a lot of fun. Are there any stories you could share with us that would give us some more fun background to further enjoy this movie?
No, we really did enjoy it. It was challenging because most movies in the budget level that we worked in were not as extravagant as we were, but we enjoyed the travel, we enjoyed the different locations, and we just spent what we had to spend to do the best that we could for the audience.
On that note, it seems like this movie, I think the ones after, tend to use a lot of the same people again. I think I know a lot of your films are being remastered by the American Genre Film Archive, and they're being re-released by Mill Creek Entertainment. I think the next two are Malibu Express and Savage Beach. And they have the old DVD intros with Andy on them, introducing them with like Julie Strain. Are there any stories you could tell us about the actors that were sort of involved in these movies?
Well, most of them we invited back. There were a couple of occasions where we did not, and that was the beautiful part of being independently financed, is that we didn't have to ask permission from the studio or anybody. We just had to agree on it between us. So that was, but most of the actors, Andy was a very generous person, in many, many ways, and it was fun, and so people enjoyed working for him.
All right, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. We're gonna have some of the audience members ask some individual questions. Is that all right with you?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, if anyone has a question. All right, we got one back here.
Cool. Awesome. First of all, thanks Arlene for doing this. This is really awesome. My name is Josh. The question I really had was, I was kind of curious about the production schedule for this film. Like, how many weeks of production were kind of on this shoot, and maybe what were the more challenging scenes that maybe took up the bulk of the production?
Well, we usually shot the films in about 22 to 24 days of principal photography, and then we would do some pickup shots. And it was challenging to get everything in. When we were scheduling, I did most of the scheduling, and I was trying to be careful. And then Andy would say, no, we have to do more in a day. And then we would get to the day, and he'd turn to me and say, "You're trying to kill me." So it was a fine line trying to get everything covered.
All right, we have another question back here.
Hi, I'm Duncan. I really enjoyed the film. I was just wondering, can you offer any insight into the creative process of the movies, or? Because they are very creative.
Andy would think about the movie, would think about the script, and he would then literally he would dictate it to somebody on a computer in a couple of days, and the only changes would then be in the scheduling and the budgeting. We would make some adjustments, but that's how he did it. It was his crazy mind.
Arlene, it's Lauren again. I have a question. What would you say to people these days who would watch Hard Ticket to Hawaii and they would point out a lot of the insensitive or not necessarily like feminist, although it was girl power, but you know what I'm sort of trying to say with some of the characters and some of the lines of dialogue.
Absolutely,
and things like that.
Exactly what you're trying to say.
What would you like to say to those people that might not find, the value, for lack of a better word,
The movies were done with an honest desire to simply entertain, and to say that, I guess people would say maybe exploiting women, but that's not how he felt at all. In fact, in November, there was a lead story in Vanity Fair about the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders and about how they were discovered and exploited, and then and how improper it is today. And the first person to take, and he started as a director for ABC Sports, and he was the first person to take the camera off the field, and where he went were to the beautiful women, to the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. So he was really responsible for the attention that was given to them in the beginning. So, you know, people have their attitudes, and they're certainly entitled, but it was done. It wasn't done in a lascivious manner. It was done to really celebrate strong, beautiful women.
I think that's pretty awesome. I just want to throw in one last thing. I think some of the people here might have realized it, but that was Andy as JJJ's boss there, right?
Yes, yeah. He put himself in each and every one of the films.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And kind of a nod to his sports background, too.
Oh, yes, yeah. He was pretty brilliant at that as well.
That's awesome. Does anybody have any more questions? Any last ones? Somebody want to ask about the helicopter or the snake or anything?
Here you go.
I just have a quick question about the writing process. But when writing these kind of movies, were you ever like writing to the restraints of the budget, or would you write and say, we'll figure it out later? How are we going to do this explosion? We'll figure it out later.
No, not exactly about figure it out later, but he would write the script, and then I would take it and try to figure out how to, you know, achieve everything that he wanted to do. And there weren't very many changes to accommodate for budget. We just, you know, we got it done. We spent the money that we had to spend to satisfy his creative desires.
All right, that's awesome. All right. Any last word, anybody?
Oh,
Right.
There we go. Here we go.
Here we go. Last question.
Here we go.
Hi, my name is Jeff. I had a question. In Hard Ticket to Hawaii, who came up with the idea for the cancer snake, the radioactive snake? Was that Andy?
Of course. Who else would come up with that? Yeah, no, he had just a funny way of looking at things. That was him.
So with the snake, was it, I mean, it was clear, I mean, obviously it was fake, but how was it, how was it?
It was fake?
No, that was a real snake.
How was it manipulated? Was it just sort of pulled along the ground? Was someone's arm in it for some of the time? How was it manipulated?
Yeah, it was. It was kind of pulled around and manipulated. Yeah, it was. But when we got into doing the sound, the post-production sound, I said, you know, that we need a hissing sound. We need a sound. So I called Fred Luff, who created the snake, and said, what should we do about the sound? And he said, I am a snake ventriloquist. And so he came in, yeah, a little crazy. So he came in and did all that hissing. But it was just manipulated and moved around, and it now resides in my attic.
Oh, that was
cool.
going to be the next question was, does it still exist? That's good to know.
Yes.
Hopefully it doesn't
Who could
escape.
give that up?
No, you
Seriously.
couldn't give that up. That's crazy. You did blow it up though, so I assume you had a spare snake on hand.
Yes, we did.
Stunt snake.
Yeah.
Anyone else? All right, Arlene, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Would it be possible?
My pleasure.
Would it be possible, real quick, to take a group photo if everyone gets down from their seats?
Oh, sure.
And, okay, awesome.
Sure.
Come on.
And also just remind everybody to take a look at andysidaris.com and then sign up for the feedback, and then you'll be on our monthly newsletter.
Excellent.
Get all the news.